My dear nation, the Second Karabakh War has been going on for about a month. This war is a homeland liberation war for our people. We are liberating our homeland from invaders. During this period, the glorious Azerbaijani army liberated many cities and villages from the enemy invasion. We are restoring historical justice on the battlefield, because Nagorno-Karabakh is an ancient historical land of Azerbaijan. For centuries, the people of Azerbaijan have lived, created, and built in these lands. We know the history of Karabakh well, and great work has been done in recent years to convey this history to the world community. Because in early 1990s, the world in general didn't know much about Azerbaijan. However, Armenian lobbying organizations operating in many countries have been able to create distorted image in the world by spreading misinformation about the history of the region and the history of the conflict. That is why, when our lands were occupied, sanctions were imposed on us, and these sanctions are still in force. In the first stage of our independence, the American Congress imposed sanctions on us as if Azerbaijan is aggressing against Armenia, and can you imagine, these sanctions are still in force. At that time, Azerbaijani diplomacy couldn't present any argument against Armenian lie. But as a result of consistent activities in recent years, we have informed the world community about the history of Karabakh and history of the conflict. All this work is helping us today because the world has a more objective view on the issues today. Thanks to our tireless efforts that have made it possible. I am absolutely right when I say that we are restoring historical justice. I was able to prove that to the whole world at the Munich Security Conference. During this online discussion, I proved this is our historical land. I gave information about Kürekçay Treaty, which signed at the beginning of the 19th century. World in general didn't know much about this treaty. Unfortunately, even in Azerbaijan, there was no extensive information about this treaty. The Kürekçay Peace Treaty was signed between Karabakh and Shusha Khan, Ibrahim Khalil Khan, and the General of Tsar Russia. The content of this treaty is online and anyone can read it. I am sure that after my speech, a large international audience watching the situation on the current battlefield will go online and read the treaty, and you will see that there is not a single word about Armenian people. Because the Armenian people were not living there by then. The Armenian people were brought to our ancestral lands after the Kürekçay, Gülistan, and Turkmençay peace treaties. They were purposefully brought and placed in Karabakh, which is one of the most charming corners of our country, and conditions were created for them. The goal was clear: to change the religious composition in the new lands of the empire, to expel Muslims from their ancestral lands, and create a new reality. That was the goal, and unfortunately, they achieved it. After that, the Armenian population was brought in mass from neighboring countries, settled in the Nagorno-Karabakh region, in the ancestral lands of Azerbaijanis, and the Armenians, demonstrating their inherent character, gradually began to take possession of our lands. After the Bolshevik Revolution in the early 20th centuries, there was a great danger that the Bolshevik government would hand over Nagorno-Karabakh to Armenia. There are protocols of the Caucasian Bureau dated July 1921. It is enough to look at the protocols of Caucasian Bureau, and there was such a threat. But I think that due to efforts of Nariman Narimanov and others who correctly assessed the reality, they couldn't achieve this. The protocols of Caucasian Bureau states that Nagorno-Karabakh should be retained as a part of Azerbaijan. During all these years, fake Armenian scholars and patrons of Armenians tried to prove that Stalin separated Nagorno-Karabakh from Armenia and gave it to Azerbaijan. It is a lie. Open and look at the protocols of Caucasian Bureau, which says that Nagorno-Karabakh should be retained as a part of Azerbaijan. This once again confirms that this is our land. Unfortunately, after that, the Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Region was created, and the region was given a special status. But I must also say that this was not a republic, but a province. That is a lower level of self-government. Now it's enough to look at the history and see that the Armenians living there had great rights and opportunities. In Soviet times, a few years before the conflict, separatist tendencies were widespread. However, there was no reason for that. The Bureau, the government body of Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Region, had 9 members. 8 of them were Armenians. 1 was Azerbaijani, and he was the first secretary of the Communist Party of Shusha region. The first secretary of Nagorno-Karabakh, the head of the government and the head of the parliament were Armenians. What did they want? How much Azerbaijan has invested in the region? The railway was built in the 1970s. The Sarsang reservoir was built in 1970s. Madagiz, now I restored its name. The Sugovushan reservoir was built. All these are investments made at the expense of the state budget of the Republic of Azerbaijan. But they were ungrateful, took advantage of the situation, took advantage of the presence of anti-Azerbaijan leadership in Moscow, and separatist tendencies arose. What did they do before that? They were making preparations. And Heydar Aliyev was the main target of these preparations, because they understood very well that the presence of Heydar Aliyev, his great authority in the Soviet leadership, ruined their plans. Therefore, from Armenia and other places, unfortunately, some national traders from Azerbaijan sent massive anonymous letters to Moscow. There was a deliberate slander campaign to eliminate the Heydar Aliyev factor. Less than 2 weeks after Heydar Aliyev's resignation, Armenian separatists raised the issue of Nagorno-Karabakh being separated from the Azerbaijan and handed over to Armenia. and the troubles of our people has begun that day. After that, an illegal special management committee was established in Nagorno-Karabakh. A strong pro-Armenian man was appointed its head, and in fact, the ground was laid for the secession of Nagorno-Karabakh from Azerbaijan. Unfortunately, the Azerbaijani leadership at that time simply watched all these dangerous events. They couldn't raise their voice, they didn't dare. They just bowed their head and did what they said from Moscow. Because at that time, the people leading Azerbaijan didn't have a gram of Azerbaijani blood. Although they were considered Azerbaijanis, they didn't have a single gram of national spirit. They were cosmopolitan people. They could not speak the Azerbaijani language properly. This is the history of Nagorno-Karabakh, and after that, large-scale military operations were launched against Azerbaijan, and our lands were invaded. The loss of Shusha and Lachin in May 1992, and the occupation of Kalbajar in April 1993 created a geographical link between Nagorno-Karabakh and Armenia. However, this connection didn't exist before. Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Region had no border with the Armenian Republic. These tragic events seemed to create a new reality. After that, the issue was taken over by international mediators, and in 1992, the Minsk Group was established. The activity of the Minsk Group is obvious. After some time, the co-chairs of the Minsk Group concentrated virtually all their powers in their hands, virtually monopolized the issue. In fact, the Minsk Group as a group was paralyzed, and 3 countries began to deal with the issue. But what was the result? There was no result for us. It didn't happen for us. It happened for Armenia. Armenia wanted such a result that negotiations should always take place, and they should always deceive us, that this issue should be frozen, that our land should remain under slavery forever, and that our land should remain under occupation forever. What is the activity of the Minsk Group? Were they able to put pressure on the invaders? No. Do they wanted to put pressure? No. I have repeatedly raised this issue with them. If you want to see a solution, impose sanctions on Armenia. It is in your hands. You are a permanent member of UN Security Council. You can resolve any issue. In particular, the officials of these countries has said that they agree on this issue. It's also an interesting thing. However, in all other matters, the nuclear issue, the situation in the Middle East, the situation in the Asia, the situation in Europe, their interests are completely different. In what other matters do their interests overlap? Not a single matter, but Nagorno-Karabakh. Why? Everyone understands. Because, of course, this frozen situation satisfied everyone except us among these countries, first of all, Armenia. Armenia is illegally settling in these lands. Have they said any word? No, this is a crime, an international crime, contrary to the Geneva Conventions. Why no one asks them, why do you settle illegally? And you demonstrate it yourself. You bring Armenians from Arab countries and accommodate them in Nagorno-Karabakh, in Shusha. No one say anything. What does it mean? It means to continue. Bring as much as you want. Armenianize these lands, erase the cultural heritage of Azerbaijan. That was the message. Why these three countries didn't say anything to the invaders? They didn't want to do it. This reality satisfied them. Therefore, the activity of the Minsk group can't be assessed differently. It is as if we were being dragged to come to the terms with the fact that new reality have emerged and you have to settle with the reality. We have created a new reality. Now everyone has to settle with the new reality. But what do we see? We began to liberate our lands from occupiers and see what happens. How much pressure is put on Azerbaijan from all sides. They fell hand in hand. So what happened? For 28 years, you seem to have been dragging this issue. Come and go, meet there, talk here. We are tired of these talks. How many negotiations can be held with this enemy? The enemy itself is furious, depraved, ferocious, and we are told no. There is no military option, only peacefully. Who says no? Isn't it a military option right now? What are we doing? We are implementing the UN Security Council resolutions alone. However, this is the task for UN Security Council. We perform alone. We have created a new reality. Settle with it. But what do we see? There was a meeting here, meeting there, a ceasefire. Who violated the ceasefire? So, all their activities are now to save Armenia, the aggressor, the perpetrator of Khojaly genocide, the bomber of Ganja with ballistic missiles from the territory of Armenia. That is their activity. As for the ceasefire came into a force for the first time on October 10th. My position was that it should be of a humanitarian nature, and we agreed to exchange the bodies, hostages, and prisoners. However, less than a day later, Armenia violated the ceasefire and bombed Ganja city at night. Then on October 17th, a new ceasefire was declared. Again, 2 minutes later, Armenia violated it. Now, a new offer has been made from 8 o'clock this morning, but at 9 o'clock in the morning, the ceasefire was violated by Armenia, and the Tartar province was fired upon again. However, I still instructed the Azerbaijani army to exercise restraint and not succumb to provocations. My position is known to my people. The issue must be resolved, either military or peacefully. I suggested that if you want a peaceful solution, well, we will stop. But we must be told immediately that Armenia is leaving our lands. A schedule must be given. In a few days, they must leave this district. In a few days, they must leave this district. In a few days, they must leave this district. A schedule must be provided. Did Armenia provide this schedule? They did not. In this case, we will not be satisfied if the ceasefire continues and the issue remains frozen. This is the first one. Secondly, we have clear information about Armenia is already on its knees, in front of us, on the battlefield, and simply wants to use ceasefire to mobilize their forces again, to arm itself, and pursue new policy of aggression against us. There is such information, and unfortunately, over the past month, weapons have been sent to Armenia in mass. Various types of weapons. We have all the list. Some of them have been published in our press. There is a whole list. When, which plane arrived, where it arrived, what it brought, how it's unloaded, where it was sent. Well, why the sides who wants a ceasefire sends weapons to Armenia? After all, Armenia on its knees, and we have already hit them on the head, so they can't wake up. The Prime Minister of Armenia, who danced in a drunken state on the trail of Cıdır, behaved like a great warrior, has now collapsed, asking for help, begging for help, humiliating itself, humiliating his people. Well, don't give them weapons and we will stop. Do not give them. Who gives it to us? No one gives us. Do not give. If you want this to finish, do not give any weapons. 2 days later, he will come like a beggar. On the one hand, a ceasefire is called, on the other hand, weapons are sent to them. What is this? Do you think we will remain silent about it? The Azerbaijani people must know everything. For 17 years, as president, I have always told the truth to the people of Azerbaijan. I regularly report to the people on all issues. I give information today, right now. Maybe not completely, because there is certain diplomatic rules. But I say what I can say, both to the people of Azerbaijan and to the whole world. If you want to save Armenia, tell them to leave our land, and leave immediately. Let that clown who is drunk in Shusha on the trail of Cıdır declare that I am leaving. Otherwise, calling world leaders 5 or 6 times a day will not solve the problem. Our position remains unchanged and we defend justice. I also want to raise another issue. The legal framework for resolving the conflict is quite broad. We have expanded these spaces. Today, there are not only UN Security Council resolutions, but also other documents. The UN General Assembly has adopted a resolution, the Non-Aligned Movement, Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the European Parliament, and the other organizations. The document initiated with the European Union contains a special provision on sovereignty of our country, inviolability of our borders, and territorial integrity. That is the legal basis, and this basis allows us today to teach the lesson to the enemy on the battlefield, to chase them, to expel them from our lands. But look what it happens recently. Co-chairs of Minsk Group countries convene UN Security Council meeting. They have already done it once. It seems that the resolution adopted there didn't satisfy them. So this time, a few days ago, we saw and heard about the emergence of the new resolution. We immediately took actions and didn't allow the adoption of this document. However, the 3 chairs put great pressure on the UN Security Council members. What was the purpose of it? Purpose is very clear. The resolution adopted in 1993 on the withdrawal of Armenian armed forces from our lands should remain in the shadows they should be left behind, they should either be invalidated or lose their significance. That was the goal. How fair is that? We again saw an attempt to support the invader. But what happened in the end? It didn't pass. How it didn't pass? The member countries of non-aligned movement didn't allow it. They supported us, and I thanked them. Although they were pressured, they may have been threatened, but they stood behind us like a man, just as we stand behind them. This shows that it will not pass. My dear brother, the President of the Republic of Turkey, has repeatedly said that the world is bigger than 5. He is absolutely right. Look, this vote showed it. They united and again through a document in the interest of Armenia, but it didn't pass. Because there is justice. No matter how much they violate this justice, no matter how much they violate this right, there is still justice. Justice and international law are on our side. Therefore, we will continue in our way. If they want a ceasefire, let them tell the invader state to leave our lands. Or we will go until the end. We will continue to chase enemy. As we do, they run from us, and they will run. Because we are right and we are strong. I have said over the last few years that the world is no longer what it used to be. The power factor comes to the fore, and this is not our fault. Look, do the great powers now abide the international law? No. Do they abide by the UN Security Council? No. They do what they want. One invades there, one invades here, one divides some territories. There is no trace of international law. So, why should we defend it? However we defend, we do not take any steps beyond the international law. We do not enter the territory of Armenia. We are liberating and restoring our lands recognized by international community. If the parliament members of UN Security Council, the co-chairs of the Minsk group, fail to do so, they should step aside and not interfere. Unlike Armenia, we do not ask for help from anyone. Let them not hinder and play with the patience of Azerbaijani people. Someday, this war will end. We will achieve what we want. What about our relationship? Will the Azerbaijani people forget this injustice? We will not forget. Let them think about it. Azerbaijan is no longer a state whose interest can be put aside. No. The day will come, and they will come with the requests, suggestions, cooperation proposals. How will they look at us? Today, they have mobilized all the opportunities against us. I put up with it for a month. A month. I didn't say anything, but we are tired of it. This is the first. Second, the mediator must be neutral. If he is not neutral, let him withdraw his candidacy. If the mediator is not neutral, he can't be mediator. Now, the mediating countries need to think a new way, new function, what they will do. Now they can't talk about liberation of 5 districts, where those 5 districts, we have 4 of them. The issue is already gone. Gone. We took it ourselves. Füzuli, Zangilan, Cəbrayıl, Qubadlı. We have most of these regions. We have the former Hadrut, a part of present Xocavənd region. So let them think. We are not against negotiations. As a result of talks, held in the United States yesterday, it was decided that in a few days the foreign ministers of Azerbaijan and Armenia will meet in Geneva. I do not object. Let them meet. There has been such a meaningless meetings for 28 years. One more, one less, doesn't matter. I do not want to say that I see these meetings as meaningless. No, we want it to make sense. But this meaning should be speed up the settlement of the conflict. Supporters of Armenia, I'm telling you, if you want to save this fake state, tell them to leave. They will leave with your one command. One. If Armenia is not given financial, economic, military and political support, can they stand on their own feet? No. Now I will give some information to the people of Azerbaijan, how much equipment we have destroyed. Anyone can calculate with the access to the internet, look at the prices of the equipment and ask questions. Where does this money come from in a poor country? Where does this money come from in a country struggling with problems? As much as we have destroyed, they're still bringing. No problem, let them bring whatever they can. This is our position at this stage. And we are ready to resolve this issue through military, political means. But it must be resolved. They said a ceasefire. No problem, let it be. Armenia has violated it. We record every violation, every single violation. I have given an order. It was recorded. It is immediately sent to the OSCE representatives and other countries interested in the ceasefire to see how much the Armenians violated the ceasefire. We have all the information. The military-political solution should only address the issue of restoring the territorial integrity of Azerbaijan. As for the future of Armenians who were resettled in our ancestral lands 200 years ago, I said that they are also our citizens. Their lives must be saved from the junta regime. If they can't save themselves, we will help them. Didn't the Armenian Pashinyan government said that the people who rule Armenia are criminals? I was saying that too. So, if those who ruled the country for 20 years before Pashinyan were criminals, it means this is a criminal country. They, two former presidents, were both leaders of the junta regime in Karabakh, and then they led the Armenia. A criminal case has been opened against both. They are criminals. They drank the blood of Armenians living in Karabakh. Where do they get so much property, state, wealth? How? They obtain it by drinking the blood of the Armenian people. I repeat, the Armenians living in Nagorno-Karabakh are our citizens. The Azerbaijani people are also tolerant. These people are not guilty. Those who are guilty, they will be held responsible, and the blood of Azerbaijani people will not in vain. The perpetrators of Khojaly genocide have been already killed in these battles over the past months. Justice has triumphed. Therefore, I want to reiterate my position. We will definitely return those lands by military-political means. The military phase may end today. We will resolve the issue politically. Azerbaijanis return to Shusha Azerbaijanis return to Xankəndi and all the other places we used to live. Conditions will be created for the Armenian population. We must slowly learn to live together, both of us. This is how I see the issue, and my approach is based on the morality and the norms of international law. Armenia wants to expel us from there. They carry out ethnic cleansing, Armenianize our monuments, bring Armenians from abroad. So what happened, Pashinyan? You were building a road in Jabrail. What happened? Where is the road? You were building a parliament building in Shusha. What happened to it? All went to hell. I want to say again that no force can turn us from our path. Our success on the battlefield have created a new reality at the negotiating table. Now, I want to give some information to my dear people. I present a list of some of the destroyed and taken as a trophy military equipment of Armenia since September 27th.
Ermənistanın məhv edilmiş və hərbi qənimət kimi götürülmüş texnikasının bir hissəsinin siyahısı.
So, the tanks. 252 tanks were destroyed, 53 tanks were taken as a trophy. Armenia was deprived of a total of 305 tanks. But there are still tanks. See how many tanks they have. Infantry fighting vehicles. 50 were destroyed, 29 were taken as a trophy. A total of 79 units. 251 cannons of different calibers were destroyed. 24 were seized as a trophy. A total of 275. Mortars, 61 were destroyed, 45 were taken as a trophy, a total of 106. Anti-tank vehicle, 53 were destroyed, 82 Grad facilities were destroyed, 2 Hurricane volley rocket missile system, 1 TOS were destroyed. Anti-aircraft missile systems, 4 TOR, about 40 OSA, 4 CUB, 1 Krug, 2 S-125 were destroyed. The S-300 is one of the most expensive equipment. 6 S-100 launchers were destroyed, 1 detection station, and 1 locator. The price is known. Anyone can calculate. Operational Tactical Missile System, Elbrus, 2 were destroyed, 1 Tochka-U was destroyed. Trucks, 231 trucks were destroyed, 20 of them with the ammunition. 173 trucks were seized as a military trophy. We have deprived the enemy a total of 404 trucks. Now, I want to ask another question. I will ask this question every time, and I will keep asking until I get the answer. Where does this money came from? Let observers, mediators, political scientists, pro-Armenians tell where it come from. We have money. Everything is transparent. The Azerbaijani people know how much money we have. The world knows. Everyone knows. We buy with our own money. We do not depend on anyone. Where did this indebted, bankrupt country get it? Armenia's foreign debt is about 8 billion. Foreign exchange reserves are 1.5 billion. And this is not independent money. It is bank reserves. So you can't buy arms with it. If they use it for arms, value of their currency will go crazy. So, who gave you that many weapons? Why nobody asks? During this month, I give interviews almost every day. I am asked, what is going on with Turkish F-16s? I am tired of answering. You have a satellite. Go look what's going on. Go and check if F-16s in the air or on the ground. Everyone knows it's on the ground. They brought for training and stayed when the war broke out. Our Turk brothers kept them as a moral support for us. And if there is aggression from outside, they will see those F-16s. Well, there are only 5 or 6 planes left at the airport. They ask about it every time. Well, I answer these questions, but ask questions to both Armenia and those who gave them weapons. Ask these questions. Why do you give weapons? Did they pay? Do the citizens of these countries that produce those weapons know how much their property sank in a month? How many weapons have we destroyed? Not one journalist asked me this question. Isn't that interesting? It is interesting. It's all right. We are already accustomed to the fact all these years there have been rumors, lies and fabrications about Azerbaijan. Now both the foreign press and the people of Azerbaijan see that I'm answering all these questions and answering profoundly. I do not fall to their level, never. I answer profoundly and they are silent. They can't answer. I tell, go look in the mirror. Are you here to accuse us? He didn't ask questions. It is as if he is a persecutor, accusing us. Who the hell are you? I have great respect for journalists. That is why they use it. I speak to them in such a gentle way. But they know that I can talk to them in another way. That is the reality. This reality is against us. But we have changed the reality. These new lists shows once again that we have changed the reality. Now I will bring to the attention of my people with great satisfaction and pride the list that the people of Azerbaijan are looking forward to. So, I delivered the list of areas liberated yesterday to my nation. Liberated village in Zengilan district. 1. Alibeyli, 2. Alibeyli, Raband, Yenikent. Liberated villages of Jabrail region. Gövşudlu, Sofulu, Dağmaşanlı, Kürt, Hovuslu, Çelebiler. Areas of Gubadlı region liberated yesterday. Padar, Efendiler, Yusifbeyli, Çaytumaz, Xanlıq, Sarıyatak, Molla Burhan, and Gubadlı city. Yesterday, I have already given this good news to the people of Azerbaijan. Once again, I want to convey this good news to all the people of Azerbaijan. It's a great honor for me to deliver good news to the residents of Zengilan, Jabrail, Gubadlı districts, the residents of these villages. Truthfully, enemy has destroyed it. Nothing is left of those villages. No problem. We will restore it. Both the people and the state of Azerbaijan will be able to do it. Let our land be free. Let our flag be raised in all lands liberated from invasion. We are liberating these lands at the expense of our soldiers and officers. We have established ourselves both on the battlefield and in the political arena. We have confirmed the people of Azerbaijan as a proud people, as a brave people, as an invincible people. No pressure can affect us. No threat can stop us. Because we are on the right path, united like a fist. This union is eternal, and this lasts forever. My dear people, I promised you in the first days of the war that we will drive the enemy out of our lands, every last one of them. Qarabağ is ours, Qarabağ is Azerbaijan.